Let's discuss the biggest losers in Iowa, and there are a lot of them. So first of all, we have Martin O'Malley, Mr. Plastic Man himself, dropped out almost immediately when the results started rolling in because his numbers were beyond abysmal. And he should have known that beforehand. And this is one of the main reasons why he's one of the biggest losers. I have nothing against him personally. I think he's an incredibly fake politician, as evidenced by the way he talks and the way he acts. But in terms of the ideas that he throws out there and the policy specifics, he's actually not bad. In fact, if it came down to him and Hillary Clinton, I would almost certainly vote for Martin O'Malley. But apparently he's a math denier, and he thought he could overcome a 7 quadrillion point deficit coming into Iowa, and then he immediately realized, oh, this is embarrassing, and he dropped out. He should have dropped out beforehand, man. Martin O'Malley is the kind of guy who would have made a fantastic politician in the late 1980s, early 1990s, when people bought into that fake politician rhythm and cadence. Actually, I should be clear. When people on the left bought into that fake politician act, people on the right still buy into it. Look who won on the Republican side in Iowa. Ted Cruz, the epitome of that as well. So it's sad. Goodbye, Martin, but you knew this day was coming and you hung on a little too long here. Now, Huckabee is one of the biggest losers as well. He also dropped out via Twitter, which tells me that he couldn't even fill a room of real grassroots support. So now Huck can, of course, go back to being a huckster and hawking fake cancer cures and diabetes cures, which, again, is literal. These are things he would sell his email address to different companies that would then push out their products, their unproven products, with his name attached to it. He's like, sure, no problem. Put my name and attach it to a company that pretends like Bible verses and myrrh cure cancer. Yeah, why not? Fuck it. He's a deeply unethical guy, and people apparently are seeing through it at this point. He did well the last time he ran, but it's just not the case anymore. Now, another tremendous loser is Carly Fiorina, who dipped on her own party to avoid a non-existent snowstorm, which again tells me she has so little support that she couldn't even muster up a party for Iowa. There were pictures from a reporter of the empty room that was supposed to have her party at that moment, but she did so terribly and she was so embarrassed that she pretended like a storm was coming and she left Iowa. And then we also have Santorum, who still hasn't dropped out yet for inexplicable reasons. Actually, I should bite my tongue on that. Maybe I missed an article or something within the past 2 hours, but within the last 3 hours, like I saw he didn't drop out yet. He should drop out now. In fact, he should have dropped out, the same night of the Iowa caucus, or well before that, if we're being serious here. And he actually spent, this is the saddest part, a lot of time on the ground in Iowa. And he still generated virtually no support, even though he had won Iowa in the past. That's so sad. And then I saved King Sad himself for dead last here. Jeb! ! Okay, what happened with him? Well, listen to this. Quote, despite spending nearly $65 million so far, Right to Rise, the super PAC supporting Jeb Bush, saw little return on its investment Monday night. The former Florida governor came in 6th place with a little more than 5,000 votes, which works out to be a bit less than 1 vote per $12,000 in spending. But Bush's super PAC still has $59 million in the bank. Okay, this is one of the saddest things I've ever seen in my life. When you look at races for the House of Representatives and for the Senate, money basically determines who wins. It's that simple. It's over 93% of the time that the person who raises the most money ends up winning. And then naturally, when they're in power, it's I scratch your back, you scratch mine. So they get donations from corporations and billionaires and rich folks, and then they turn around and do favors for them and screw over their constituents. When it comes to the presidential election, it's a little bit different because the media is required to cover you to a certain extent either way. So since your name is getting out there a little more no matter what, then the money isn't as important. It's still important, don't get me wrong, and it still serves that function of when somebody gets elected and they took X amount of money from their contributors, they're going to help out those contributors. That is legalized bribery. So it's still very important in that respect. But it's not the one-to-one relationship when it comes to a presidential election where simply the person who raises the most money is guaranteed to win. Doesn't work like that. And Jeb is the perfect example of that. Dude, doesn't matter how much money you raise, that money doesn't also raise your personality with it. I mean, I would rather watch fucking paint dry than listen to a Jeb Bush speech. Call it what it is, man. He's an entitled, pampered little prick. That's what he is. He's got the last name Bush. His daddy was president. His brother was president. And he was a governor. And he's like, I think it's my turn, guys. Can I have my very own country, Papa? No, bitch, you can't.